Hello, everybody. Everybody out there ready? All of you thousands getting ready to watch this? Here we go. That's the mystery song of today. You've got to guess that. And if you guess it correctly, I will send you $100 million. Actually, I'll send you an IOU. How about that? And that's just as good. So, good morning, everybody. And just to kick it off, last week I played a song, and we do have a winner. JG guessed the name of the tune, and it's called Cherry Pink and Apple Blossom White. And I'm sure many of you are too young to know about this tune because it came out in the 50s, and it was played by a gentleman by the name of Prez Parado. He's a Mexican trumpet player, and he was only about 5'4", and when he blew on his trumpet, he blew so hard you could almost straighten the horn out. I mean, he was a powerful player, and then at the end he hits a high F above C. But anyway, he made that popular, and when he did it, it went ba da da doo da da da. He put that little long thing in there at the beginning, and that was kind of the trademark of the song. So that was last week's winner, and this week's song, I think, is one of the more beautiful songs ever written. And I hope some of you come up with the idea, the title of it, but I love it. And I think that was it. So JG, you get $100 million. Now I hope my audience knows I'm joking. Okay, but I'm going to say it out loud. It's a joke, but it's fun. We have a little fun here to start off. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, where do you go on TV or the internet to listen to an interview, and a guy comes on who's going to do the interviews, plays a song, tries to get you to guess the name of it? You know, this is cultural enrichment time. There's no other place to go except here. And here is Life After Scientology, and I am Ron Miscavige, your host. And I'll tell you, I have a real treat in for you today because last week we had a lady on who told a story that a lot of the listeners requested her come back, and fortunately I was able to get her back. So this morning, please welcome back Carol Nyberg. Good morning, Carol, and thank you for coming back on.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, so let's just continue on because I think we have a lot of blanks to fill in, and because there's a lot of questions that the listeners ask, and I think you're prepared to do that this morning, right?
I am, and I just wanted to also take a moment to thank Karen de la Pierre, she's been on your show before, and you know, Karen put us together, which is really nice. It gave me this opportunity to talk, and I wanted to, you know, reach out and say thank you to her for doing that, and because she did some interviews with me in 2013 that are also on YouTube, and you know, I was still pretty newly out of the Sea Org, and it gave me a chance to vent a little bit. So that was really nice. And now I can tell a little bit more.
Okay, good.
So I wanted to do that. And then another thing that I noticed was that I tend to sometimes rush a lot because it's the holdover from the Sea Org mentality. You know, when you're in the Sea Org, you're constantly being pushed to go faster and faster and faster. And you're going like so fast sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing that. There were things that I would be talking to somebody on the phone, and I found that I was doing this out in life on my job. I'd be talking to somebody, wrapping up what I was doing, and I'd start going to the next one and start on the next one before I was done with the last one, trying to get it set up to talk to that person or whatever. And then come to find out, that I'd go back and I don't remember what I said to the last person because I blocked it out because I was so in a hurry to get to the next step.
Wow. Okay.
So I really had to slow myself down. And I kind of felt like I did that a little bit last week because I go into that mentality and I'm doing my best to stop that because I need to just be enjoying life. Right.
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you, don't worry about either going too fast or too slow. Look, this is your time. And I mentioned this to you in private when we talked, but also just for my listening audience. Look, the reason I even started this podcast was because when my book came out on May 6, 2012, and by the way, that's the book I wrote. It's called Ruthless Scientology, My Son, David Miscavige, and Me. When that book came out, that was #1 on the bestseller for nonfiction for that week. And then for the month of June, it was #1 for the whole month of June. But leading up to that release of the book, I did some interviews with 2020, Late Night with Seth Meyer, some other ones, and as a matter of fact, a lot of them. And on 2020, I was interviewed for like over 6 hours in Philly, over 2 hours here in Milwaukee, and maybe I was on the screen for 20 minutes. I started this podcast to give people who have left the church, who were abused, to be able to tell their whole story. I'm not going to put a twist on it or some angle. It's your time, so you can talk faster, you can talk slow. It doesn't matter. And that's what I say to all my people that I interview. Just let it all hang out and just enjoy yourself and let the public know how it is to be part of a suppressive, oppressive cult like the Church of Scientology. Why they call themselves a church is, well, it's beyond me, but except for the fact that they get a tax exemption. So anyway, Carol, I just wanted to put that in there. So, go on with this. And, one of the things I know that people wanted to know about who was Jeff's dad and who was Nancy's dad. Is that how that went?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why don't we, let's start with that.
Yeah. Okay, so I was married to Richard, and he's Nancy's father, and he's the one who really got me fully indoctrinated into Scientology after I started that infamous communications course. So, and I think I had mentioned, we had gone to Flag. He did do services, and I was selling laser pictures, trying to make money so I could go in session. I don't know if you know about laser pictures. They were a big deal at the late 70s.
I kind of remember that. It was like a picture that was etched in something, in silver or something.
Well, no, they weren't etched, but they were laser sharp pictures were new at that time. And so there were some Scientologists really selling them, pushing them, and I would go out and sell them in New York. And in Clearwater when we were in Clearwater, and I'd just fill up my car with these pictures, and I was so brazen. We got off the track a little bit, but might as well tell you the rest of the story.
I'm
it was an interesting, fun time. I was young and I had no fear, and I take these. They were like big, pictures you hang on the wall, and I would stop someplace, put 3 under one arm, 3 under the other arm, walk into an office. And I set them all out, and I say, that picture is you. That's your picture. And I would match them up, and these people would buy them from me. And my biggest day that I had was in Clearwater at a car dealership. I stopped, and I was by myself. I mean, today I can't even believe I did it. But I just took all these pictures into the car dealer, big showroom, right? And I think that the salesmen were just so shocked that I was there. It was like, this is some entertainment for them, but I sold 30 pictures.
Whoa.
I just
How many?
Were just buying them,
30.
So it was fun. And I actually did get in session at Flag during that time.
Wow.
So from selling my pictures, and back to, that was because I was with Richard, I told you. And see, by the time that I, actually joined the Sea Org, Richard and I were not doing so well, and he wasn't qualified. Anyway, when I was going to leave for the Sea Org, I had been in New York, got recruited, went back to California to pack up my stuff, and I had my daughter, who was a year old, to take with me. So I was organizing that, and the day I was scheduled to fly out, my mother came to. We were at our mission. The mission in Chico was where we were headquartered. So she came to the mission. My best friend came to the mission, who later went into the Sea Org, and some, just some close friends came to see me off.
Mm-hmm.
And I had all my suitcases, and I had to get them packed in the car. And so then Richard calls me, and he talks me out of going. Now, this is the day I'm leaving to join the Sea Org. So he talks to me, says, don't go. I don't want you to go. Let's work it out. We'll figure out something. I said, okay, I'm not going to go. Right. So I call my recruiter at Flag.
I bet he loved that, huh?
I'm saying, I'm not coming. Well, you tell any Sea Org registrar or recruiter that you're backing out of what you agreed to.
Oh, yeah.
All hell breaks loose, right? So, boy, he laid into me like you can't believe. And he also told me that I was so PTS, which is potential trouble source. I was so PTS to Richard that I would die. He put the fear in me. He said, you're going to die because you're so out of effect or PTS to Richard. So I said, okay. So then I changed my mind. By this time, my mother was gone. All my friends were gone. I had nobody there but me and my daughter. And I decided to go now. And now I'm going to decide to go back. I'm going to leave. And I don't tell anybody that I'm leaving. I'm saying, I'm just going to go.
Wow.
So then I have all my stuff, and I'm on the second floor of the building, and I can't get my stuff downstairs to put in the car. So I look out the window, and it's a small town. Chico was a small town. It was, the Chico University, but it was pretty small then. And I look out the window. I see two guys walking down the street who, hey, I need help. Can you come up here? So I got these two guys to come upstairs, carry all my stuff downstairs, pack it in the car. And then, well, I got to get on a plane, and I have a car. So
yeah, I mean, what? You're not going to take the car on the plane as excess
not going
baggage.
to take the car on the plane. No. So I drove to a used car lot, and I didn't know these people. They didn't know me. It wasn't prearranged. I said, I'm flying to Florida, and I need to sell my car. The guy gave me $1,000 for my car.
Wow.
And then I said, can I drive to the bank and deposit the money? He says, okay. I just sold my car to him. He lets me drive off to the bank. I deposit the money. I drive back, and he somehow gets me to the airport. And this is all from a stranger.
Wow.
But this all happened, and it was just beyond crazy. But anyway, then I flew, and then of course the next morning is when I arrived, and that's when I started. Well, and I mentioned that last week. So okay, so I'm in the Sea Org.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a little insight on that.
Okay.
The guy, the recruiter, said if you don't come, you're going to die, right?
Right.
The truth of the matter is, if you didn't arrive, he was going to die.
He was going to die. He'd probably be sent to ethics, right?
Could you imagine putting you on the arrival list, and he's telling all of his seniors all up and down the line, well, we got a new arrival today, and then he tells them she's not coming. Right. That's when he would die.
Well, yeah, because I experienced that later down the line as a registrar. Oh, I just made $30,000. Oh, they backed out. And then you have to how do I handle this one, Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I totally get it. So then I'm there, and I live at I mentioned the QI last week. The QI, for those that don't know, is called was a Quality Inn motel that the church bought and converted into birthing for people with families,
right,
and with children, and that's where the nursery was, and there was a school at one time for kids, and where we lived. Okay, so I get there, and every day we would go to family time at 5:30 and have dinner and commiserate with different people and then go back to work. So Bruce Ferguson, I'll say his name, I guess. Bruce Ferguson was there with his daughter. Well, it turned out, we'd have dinner every night with him and some of the others. And it turned out that I had met Bruce when I was in New York. See, while I was in New York, living in New York, I actually went to work at Celebrity Center, New York on East 82nd Street.
Right.
And he was in the Sea Org. He was there as an FSC, flag service consultant.
Right.
So he was flag staff, but working in New York. Well, his wife routed out of the Sea Org and left their daughter with him. So he got sent to Flag so he could be with his daughter and live at the QI.
Right.
So I had met him because I was working at Celebrity Center, and he would be there all the time at FSC gets arrivals to go to Flag. That's what they do.
Right.
So I met him. It wasn't romantic or anything. I just knew who he was, and he was always, around. And so when I saw him at Flag, I said, wow, I know somebody. Hi.
Yeah.
So we would have, dinner and meals together. And so eventually we got married. And then I had my son Jeffrey at Flag, and Jeff was one of the last babies, because they shortly after he was born, they said no more babies at Flag.
Right.
They didn't want to, which was dumb for them, because it was a recruitment pool. People were getting these kids to join the Sea Org.
Yeah. And
sign a billion-year contract, and they didn't know what the heck they were doing, and they'd bring them up as staff members. But anyway, so that's how Jeff's father came into the picture. I was already in the Sea Org. Richard and I had broken up because because I wanted to join the Sea Org and he couldn't, and plus other things. And so then I met Bruce there. So that's how that came about. And so what was I going to talk about next, Ron? I wanted to make sure that was understood.
I think you cleaned that up, because I know that there were a lot of questions on that, and I think that kind of handles it. But you mentioned about the fact that you were glad that you didn't do the OT levels.
Yes, I was. I wanted to make a comment about that because, I was on the brink of starting, and due to sessionability and the hours we were keeping, I was never really sessionable enough to get solo audit or get into really moving up the bridge. And I'm so thankful now, because it just seems to me, and I don't have any evidence of this or proof, but my perception is that the people that did get their OT levels or started their OT levels ended up having more trouble in life and medical or whatever. And again, I don't want to get into an area that I can't really speak really intelligently about, but I was always thankful that I never did it.
Well,
in fact, I had attested to clear twice at Flag, but then down the road, then they came back and said, "Oh, you're not clear." Okay. They wipe out all your wins and everything that you've had. Yeah. And you're left in a no man's land, if you're actually working with the technology trying to move up the bridge, you're kind of like, oh, so what was all that I did? I know. Did you want to say something about that?
I just wanted to say, as far as your observation about people who did the OT levels, a lot of them did have troubles in life. I mean, with sickness, with breaking up marriages, and
Yeah.
Listen, you can observe what you can observe and talk about it, because that's valid. If you're looking at something in life and you see it's in a certain way, you can gain from that experience and say, hey, wait a minute. I see these people did that. They spent all that money. They're not, right. And you're supposed to be cause over life. Come on, my friend. Cause over life. And,
right.
And he had to get divorced from his wife, or he went bankrupt because he spent all this money. I thought he was supposed to be more capable. That's right. These are observable things.
We talk about stories like that all day long. I mean, that's just it's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, you know what? Something else that I wanted to mention. I think I talked about it a little bit last week. Bruce, who Jeff's dad, he left the Sea Org, right? And I didn't leave with him. And then I mentioned that I sent my son Jeff to go live with him. Jeff was about 12 or 13 at the time when he left to go stay with him. And then in the Sea Org, you can't really just have a boyfriend. You can't just go dating.
No, I know.
So people get married instead of go out on dates, because you can't really spend any quality time with anybody unless you marry them, right?
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I married Frank, and that's who I said my senior called me in and said, he's riding out of the Sea Org and he signed the divorce papers. And this was, I mentioned that last week and we couldn't talk.
Right.
And I wanted to tell you the rest of that story because I knew him pretty well, and I didn't think he would just decide to leave the Sea Org if it wasn't for some good reason. But I couldn't find this out for probably almost 2 years. And that was why he really left. Well, he went to the RPF and he was willing to do the program and get out. But you see, sometimes these people are in the RPF for like 5 to 10 years. That's a lot of years.
I know.
Well, he probably went to the Sea Org. Went into the RPF at about 60, 61 years old, right?
Yeah.
So, and we couldn't see each other during that time, but we would write letters. So we were always writing letters back and forth. And but of course they were always being read by the ethics officer. So you couldn't. They were edited. You couldn't really just say everything you felt. So I found out that as an older one of the older guys on the RPF, he noticed some other staff members that were older who had been on the program for 10 years, and then they get a fitness board. And they said, "Oh, you're no longer fit for the Sea Org. Goodbye." Well, this is after they put in 10 years, 5, 10 years of hard labor. And that you could have been, if you were going to leave, you could have been out making some money or doing something to make yourself viable. Instead, you wait till you're like 65, 70 years old and say, "See ya, you're no longer good to us." And then you're really stuck. Yeah. Then you're really a burden to society and everybody else. So he saw the writing on the wall. He had only been in for about a year, and he saw that people were getting fitness boarded. And do we need to explain what a fitness board is?
Well, you could just say it's a board that decides based on your health, your productivity, whether you are fit to be a Sea Org member. And if you're not fit, then you're offloaded. You're let go,
Right. So he knew that was his future. He knew he'd be in for 10 years and he'd be 70 something and they'd say, "See ya."
Yeah.
So he cut his losses and he just said, "I'm routing out." So he had to route out because he could still go out and make a living, know. So he did. But of course, I wasn't privy to that information at all till much later because, as I said, he left. And I wasn't. We never got to have a private patient till much later. Then I really found out what was going on. So I wanted to clear that up. And also, I think I mentioned Debbie Cook.
Oh yeah.
Last week, after Frank left the Sea Org, I was pretty devastated. And Debbie Cook, who was the captain of the Flag Land Base, she reached out to me, or captain of the FSO, the Flag Service Organization. Yeah. She reached out to me, and she actually sent one of her personal staff to care for me to see if I needed anything. How could they help me? I was just like, this is happening to me.
Yeah.
And they got me in session because I needed to blow off a lot of grief and charge and what was happening.
Yeah.
And they just took care of me like I've never been cared for before. That woman was amazing.
Yeah, no, she has compassion. Debbie Cook.
She does.
Has compassion.
And so this leads me into actually what I wanted to say about something about her and my daughter, because if Debbie, when she got out and she was out, she wrote this famous email.
Right.
And all of us that were not that knowledgeable about the internet didn't know the kind of effect that how something goes viral. Well, that email went viral. It went to everybody. And it was about really telling the truth about the IAS and what was happening and the donations and this and that. And this woman, she was by the book, and you could trust her, and you knew that if she said something, she didn't just say it lightly. Yeah. She said something because she checked it out. So I supported her, and the day that her email came out, I remember sending a message to Bruce Ferguson, and Jeff's dad, and also to my daughter. I said, this is really amazing. Isn't this good? And I got messages back from them saying, yeah, this is good. Well, 2 weeks down the road, by that time, all the Scientologists of good standing and Sea Org members were told that anybody that supports Debbie Cook is going to be in trouble, and you could get yourself declared or for supporting her. So by the time I talked to my daughter again about that email, she was trying to convince me to drop it. Wow. And, go against Debbie Cook. Well, I said, I can't, I won't.
Yeah.
And that whole episode is what inspired me. I wrote a little story about my experiences that got put up on Steve Hall's site. And when I did that, okay, I'm going a little too fast here. Anyway, because of that email and because I supported Debbie Cook, I wasn't declared, but I showed my allegiance. I didn't do anything. I just said, hey, I really back her up.
Right.
So my daughter, she sent me a text saying, F you. Okay, yeah. This is my daughter. And then she said, I'm never talking to you again. So she disconnected from me right then and there. And that was in 2012, I think. Yeah. And, but I wasn't declared. So I was still talking to Frank on the phone by this time. And he tried to mend the fences. And then, but I sent her a copy of what I had written, how I felt, a summary of my story, which I'm telling here. I had written that up and I sent it to her. And I said, backing Debbie Cook, blah, blah, blah. So she cut her ties with me. And then she was pregnant. And I didn't find out. The only way I found out about her baby was on Facebook. Wow. So I thought this is certainly a sign of the times. By this time, I am learning about the birth of my third grandchild on Facebook. Wow. So, okay. Well, so she realized that I wasn't declared. So my daughter wrote me this really nice letter and said, Mom, you're the best mom. I love you, blah, blah, blah. And so we connected again. But we didn't get to see each other because we're so far apart, but we were on the phone all the time. Well, she was at the Flag Land Base, and we were on the phone together, and an MAA came up to her and said, you need to report to the ethics office at 8 o'clock tonight. And she said, okay. So she told me that, and I said, oh, all right. So after we hung up, I never heard from her again. She never called me to say, this is what happened. She never called, is this true? They told her I was declared. Now, this was late 2012, and I still to this day have never seen my declare issue. I have no idea.
Wow.
What I was charged with. I don't have any idea what was happening, right? Nothing. And I was completely in the dark. Well, the person that was the top MAA at Flag, I knew her since she was a baby. I reached out to her. I called her. I emailed her. And I said, I hear I'm declared. I don't have the issue. Can somebody mail it to me? Oh, yeah. They never sent it. Then I said, I have no idea what the charges are. Anyway, I got wind of what they said, and I said, this never happened. And they said, okay, well, let's see if we can work this out. So she kept making appointments with me on the phone to talk about it. And but she kept missing the appointments. She never would show up, and she'd never talk to me, and wanted me to do these conditions, of course. And I tried to write up some lower conditions. I tried to get this thing thrown out because I never saw the issue. I don't know what it was. I never had a chance to defend myself. And I'm working on it, because my daughter did send him a message to me saying, if you can fix this, we can, I don't have to disconnect from you. Anyway, so I'm working on it and working on it and working on it. Well, I get the most sick I have ever been. I mean, sick.
Really?
I mean, really, really, I don't even know how to describe it. I was so sick. Like,
Yeah.
Just think of something where you're crawling along. And I just think about it. And I said, I'm trying to hook up with a serpent. I'm trying to hook up with the devil. Wow. I'm trying to get myself back in the good graces of evil.
Jeez.
I said, no wonder I'm so sick. I said, there has to be another way. I said, I can't do this. I don't want to be in their good standing, because, when you're in that not declared state, do you know how many phone calls I would get from regs,
Yeah.
from people all over trying to reg me,
Yeah.
and trying to sell me books, and I knew that would start up again. It wouldn't stop. And come to flag, I knew I would never go back there again. I knew I would never do that. So I had to say, okay, I'm cutting the tie. I have to, because it's my life. I have to live it honestly, because I would be constantly tiptoeing around if I were back in good graces at flag. That's not going to happen. So I just wanted to get that part out.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to make a comment on that, okay?
Okay, yeah.
And my comment is this. In Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard says communication is the universal solvent. I'm sure you've heard that, right?
Very, very many times, yes.
And with communication, you can solve everything. And he even goes to point out at one point, if you are in trouble with your communication, the answer is not less communication, it's more communication.
Right.
And it's drummed into all of us that by communication, you can resolve and actually dissolve anything. That's considered the universal solvent. Yet, the policy on handling things, the universal solvent now has changed to no communication. In other words, cut you off, disconnect you from your family, from your friends, as their solution to a problem, and now it's solved because now they've made you disconnect.
Right.
You're right when you say you're getting back in communication with the devil. I guess for a better word, I would use it. I'd use it as an example. You're getting back in communication with evil people.
Right.
And as far as I'm concerned, fuck it, man. Just say see you later. Live your life, and you're enjoying. You look great. You're successful. I know that you're working, and you have a great husband. What the hell? Hey, what's wrong with that? Are you kidding me?
That was wonderful. On the communication part, I'm going to also add, I told you that my first course, I got pushed to go do the communications course. It's going to help your life.
Yeah.
And of course, that is the course that most people start. The first thing they do is a communications course. And so it's all about communication, good communication. Ron writes about it, and two-way communication. Everybody's talking, everybody's, communicating. So when I routed out of the Sea Org, because I had to go back, right, to route out.
Yeah. Well, actually, wait a minute. You didn't actually have to go back. You know that.
I didn't have to go back. No, I was like I said at my mother's for about 2 weeks. They kept calling and calling and calling. I didn't want her to have to keep fending for me.
Right.
So I decided to go back, because they always threaten you. If you don't come back in the next 24 hours, we're going to declare you. Well, I was trying to not be declared.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That was all I was trying to do, trying not to be declared. So I flew back. I said, listen, I cannot ask my mother. I have no more money. I said, I don't want to ask my mother to pay for this airline ticket. She's done enough already for me. And so I found out later that a Sea Org member, Letty, you probably know her.
Letty Helt?
I'm sure you know her.
Wait, Letty?
Anyway, don't have to mention her name, but she paid for my ticket. I said, you got to get me a round trip ticket, because I expected to come back. Well, they only bought me a one-way ticket, but which I found out. And in my naivety, I really thought they bought me a round trip ticket. They didn't.
Good
anyway,
Lord.
But I flew there, and they put you, I have to go live, you live away from the mainstream of the people, with people that are doing similar things to you as you do.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I had my own room. You don't ever have your own room if you're a Sea Org member. You're always, but you have bunks with a lot of other people, right?
Oh yeah.
And I had a cell phone which I snuck in, and you're not ever supposed to have. Oh my gosh, that saved my life of course, I had to have it on silent, and I never took it outside with me, but it was in my room. I could talk to my mother.
Oh
I
boy.
could talk to my sister. I talked to Nancy. Woo! Anyway, you're not supposed to ever have that happen, you know. Anyway, but I wanted to say by the time I left Scientology, nobody was talking to anybody. I wanted to really make that point.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you more about that experience routing out, but I thought, wow, because everybody was afraid to talk to anybody, because if you say the wrong thing, you're going to get written up. You say something and somebody misinterprets what you say, or maybe you say what's really on your mind, they're going to write a KR on you, and you don't know what's going to happen after that. So everybody just zip. And, you know, when I got on the Greyhound bus to come home, I just sat looking out the window and I said, oh my gosh, I didn't want to talk to anybody because I didn't have any small talk. I didn't know what to say to anybody.
Yeah.
We said, where are you going? You know, I'd have to be able to make up stories to even have a conversation. And I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to look out the window and look at the scenery going by, you know.
I know what you mean.
But routing out, I come back, you know, and they have you write up everything that happened to you while you were gone or while you were out. And then you get ComEv. I found my ComEv. I got a ComEv. I don't have it handy, but it would be interesting to show it to you. But anyway, I get charged with all this stuff. And and then I found this letter. I don't know if I still have it. I had written a letter, you know, when I was leaving. I blew, right?
Right, yeah.
So I wrote a letter to my seniors why I was leaving. And so here it is. I found it. This is the story. This is the story with me. I arrived at Flag 26 years ago. All I wanted to do was help. I did not care what I did. I also had no particular attention on my bridge. I was here and willing to do my job. And I did a lot of different jobs, including being a nanny, making barley formula for all the babies at the QI, recruiting for the base, flag crew, hatting officer, cope officer, and running all the hotels. Lots of randomity and excitement and pioneering, you know. So, well, now I don't see a future. I don't think about the bridge, so consequently, I did not move up the bridge. I got a non-clear R factor after testing twice to clear at Flag. I did grades in 1996 and got dropped, and have been mid-grade 1 now for 12 years. I know I have a PTS situation. I have succumbed to this. I am let's see. I figure I've got about 9 good years of production left. Well, that's past. I do not want to get old here at Flag. So much is happening around me, and it's all going so much faster than me. There is a lot I don't really understand. I truly cannot keep up. I keep saying this, and no one is willing to duplicate me. I'm really unduplicated. I just looked around recently and realized that I'm not happy with my life, and what I do here no longer gives me the same pleasure. Everything I do is for someone else. I rarely do anything for me. I did have my post down. I was winning in life. There was something I could do, and I did it well, selling accommodations. I felt it was good. I was good at it. Now I don't. There have been a lot more invalidation and make wrongs and being made to feel incapable, not capable, coupled with a loss of literally all my stable datums as an accommodations reg, because they make you sell books in addition to your post.
Yeah.
You know, you're always constantly taught, do your successful actions, you know, you're always going to be, your stats are going to be up. You do your successful actions. Well, I was a reg, and that's what you do. Do what's successul, and your stats go up.
Yep.
Well, I had to change all that to sell basic books. You know, everything was different. So how do you maintain an affluence? So anyway, basically it just says too much effort, no family, and I'm leaving. So, but they took this and wanted to declare me because it said that I was telling somebody I wanted to leave. So, which is a declarable offense.
I know that. Yeah. If you're going to leave and you tell somebody, you can get declared for that. Let me tell you something.
I was already gone.
These people are a mess.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how to win in life. don't join Scientology. Or
That's
if
right.
you're in, just walk out the door. These regulations, the vocabulary they use, all of this is one of the most clever scams that's ever been perpetrated on mankind. I swear to God,
Oh yeah.
it may have been the most clever one ever, because you mentioned something there. You said all you wanted to do was help. Let me tell you, that's a strong urge in
Yeah.
civilized people, not demented, waste of time lives, or like, the Nazi people who wanted to kill everybody and make their race the superior race. But really civilized, compassionate people want to help. They want to do that. And that's the thing that sticks you to it. You are constantly thinking, what I'm doing is helping every man, woman, and child on the planet. Or maybe in your case, you figure you're helping something there. And it's a lie.
Right.
They're just a lousy bunch of bastards. I don't know what the hell to say about them except that. And I'll tell you, what my disappointment in life is that there's not one single politician out there who knows about this, and I'm sure a lot of them do, who are willing to confront the Church of Scientology and say, hey, look, you're not a religion. That's the end of your tax exemption. And
Well, that would be the best thing, to get rid of the tax exemption. Unfortunately, you're so indoctrinated as a Sea Org member. If somebody comes say, we're liberating you, you can go. They say, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay here. And I was part of that mentality. And I have to tell you, after I was out of the Sea Org, it probably took 8 months. I think for me, seemed like it was that long.
Yep.
Where I woke, I just sort of, my head started coming up out of the muck, out of the, it's like, oh, I was duped. Yeah. In other words, I realized that every day you're being spoon-fed propaganda, spoon-fed information about we're saving the planet, we're everywhere, and we're doing it. We're making a difference. So I really believed when I talked to my mother, I'm here for you, Mom. I'm making it better for you. I really believed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Well, that's it. That's how they keep you there. You're helping everybody, and it's wonderful. But you mentioned the key thing. You said, I realized I was duped. Once you admit you were wrong about a decision, at that point, you're going to start to go free, as far as I'm concerned. I give what I call life lessons. And that's one of the things, one of the little shows. These are like between 8 and 12 minutes. And one of the shows is the hardest thing you will ever do. And the hardest thing you will ever do is admit you're wrong. I mean, say, I was wrong. Not like, I was wrong about that. But the reason I did it, and you're justifying it. No, you still haven't come to the conclusion that you just simply made a mistake. Big deal. Right. But it is a big deal. Well, people don't want to do it.
It's hard because when you get 60, 70 years old and you realize, and you look back, you think, I just spent my whole life doing this and it was wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it can spin you into a real tailspin. I mean, it almost feels like you're on a cliff, on the edge of a cliff, and you're going to, because what do you have to show for it? So I was at that point, at one point I thought, I think, you find yourself kind of wanting to spin.
Yeah.
And I held on and I said, no, the biggest thing that I did was, while I was there, I brought happiness and cheerfulness to other people. Because other people were having their own concerns about what they were doing and if they were doing it the right thing. So I had to cling on that I did that. Yeah. Because I know I have friends, people that I'll probably never see again, the public and the staff.
Yep.
That I really loved. And there were some public people, I just loved them a lot. I mean, they were so nice, and they would come and talk to me. I know that that brought them a little happiness, and it did for me as well.
That's very true. And you're just a wonderful person, Carol. I got to tell you that.
Well,
listen, I got a signal here from my producer. Yes.
Well, we have a couple of super chats.
Oh, good.
Here.
Oh.
So, first one from Mary R. Good morning. Sending love and support.
Mary R., how you doing, kid? I kind of recognize that handle. I don't know why, but it just seems familiar to me. So hope you're doing well out there wherever you are, and thanks for calling in.
And the next one is Vice Forever. Thank you. Got your good work. Hugs.
So I got a hug. I love it.
Yep, you got a hug, Ron.
I'll tell you, that made my day. There you go. So thank you very much. And let me just do a little bit of commercial here. It's not a commercial. It's the truth. Look, I need your help. We're talking about help. I need to get this channel up to a lot more than it is right now. So if you're watching this or for the first time, please subscribe. And if you're a regular subscriber, share this with all your friends and let's spread this out. Let's get it up to 100,000 people watching this every week, because I'll tell you, you get up past a certain point, you enter into the thought world, and I may be a little bit off the mark talking about this right now, but I believe there is such a thing, that the predominant thought is the way things are going to go in life. And if you get a lot of people thinking the same thought, chances are it's going to go that way. And the way I would like it to go is just to see the church lose their tax exemption, not harm them or anything, just take that away and let them exist as a business. And, that's the way they're going to be. The other thing is, if you care to help in this program, you could immediately turn from an observer into a participant by becoming a patron. And whatever you do, whether it's $1 or $2 or $5 a month, I would appreciate it very much. So I would like your help on that line. And then on the other hand, I do other videos. I should tell you about this because I don't mention it that much. There's one called Story Time, where I read out of the two humorous books that I wrote. And another one is called Life Lessons. And I give advice on various points that I've observed to be true in life from my own experience. And then the one I just started is called Home Workouts for Veterans or Anyone. And I discovered an apparatus that is dirt cheap, that you can get yourself in great physical shape, strong, strength-wise. And I just started that, and I'm going to do another video on that tomorrow. And I'm going to do several of them to show you the versatility of this little item. So that's what I wanted to end off with. But mostly I wanted to do is thank you, Carol, for coming back on. And it's very much appreciated, and I'm sure the listeners appreciate you clearing up a lot of these things for them.
Okay. Thank you for having me back.
I've enjoyed it, and I'm telling you, if you come up with some more stuff and you'd like to do another...
Well, I've never told anybody about how I escaped.
Oh. Maybe we should do, because we're running out of time right now, just on the studio, that is. But
well,
do you want to tell it now? I mean, unless it's...
How much time is there? I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell you what. It's too
Yes.
late to back out on it. Do it.
Huh?
Tell it right now. We're going to do it right now. I'm not going to let the people hang on that one.
Okay. So when I decided to leave, I was 61 years old, and I really felt like I got a tap on my shoulder. Maybe it was from God, okay?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I literally stood up out of my chair, and I said, I got to go. I'm 61. If I leave now, I can still get a job. And I said, but this has to be planned. You can't just walk out the door.
Yeah.
And there's no way I was going to try to route out, because I always succumb to everything they try to push on me. So the next day I came to work on a bus, no cars. And I came in really early, 7 o'clock. I came in the bus and I got off and I walked up to Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which is about a mile up the road. And so I walked up there and I had my little, carry-on thing from air luggage carry-on that you can push, pull. Anyway, so I rented a car. I got the church discount. I threw my stuff in the trunk. I drove downtown to, there was a parking garage, and it's right where all the staff eat. If you know Clearwater, you know where I'm talking about. This downtown garage. I drove in the garage. I had to pay for a month worth of parking, because that way nobody would ever ask me for any tickets or anything. So I drove up to the third floor, left it up there, snuck out of the garage into the dining hall, because that's where, people, why are you coming? Well, why are you coming out of there? Well, whatever. I did that. I ate breakfast, went to work. So for the next couple days after that, I brought in tote bags every day and put them on my lap. And I had as much stuff as I could carry in those tote bags. So about 2 or 3 days worth of tote bags. I come into work, and then I sneak into the garage, go up to the 3rd floor, throw the stuff in the trunk, and then go eat breakfast and go to work. So Thursday comes around, and I said, today's the day I'm going to leave. It was the 25th of September, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So I, get through the week. I say the week because we end on Thursdays. Okay, so I call my senior about 6 o'clock, and I say, I don't feel well. I'm going to go to isolation. That's ISO. It's where you go if you're sick to get better.
Right.
So, okay, well, hurry up and get better. We need you on post. Okay. So I hang up. I pack up all my personal things around my desk, and I walk out. My dinner time's at 7, so I walk out at 7 o'clock. I go get in the car. I had driven the car that day down to where I worked at the Sandcastle to park it there, and took a chance of doing that, but I said, well, I'm going to do it. So I get in that car, the rental car, make a U-turn, and go north up to a little town. The first thing I did, about 2 hours after driving 2 hours, I pulled off just to some random restaurant. I also had this cell phone, which is contraband, and I plugged it in to charge it, and I just sat there and ate whatever I wanted. I just sat there leisurely and just ate whatever I wanted, and I just took my time, and nobody was telling me you got to get back to work or anything, and I was just overjoyed.
Yeah.
So then I went to a Holiday Inn, spent the night, and my bus was the next day. I decided to take a Greyhound bus, and the reason I did that was because they always go to the airports to look for you. You're missing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I said, well, Scientologists don't take Greyhound buses. I mean,
no.
When you think of a Scientologist, you don't think of a Greyhound bus.
Nope.
So I said, I'm going on a Greyhound bus. So my mom was helping me, and the really nice story. I had the car, so I went to the Enterprise Rent-A-Car in this little town, and I said, my bus doesn't leave till like 6 o'clock tonight, and I don't know how to get there. They said, just keep the car. Just come back at 6 o'clock. I'll drive you there. I know these people are so nice to me.
Wow.
And because, we're told everybody's going to be mean.
Yeah.
And so she drives me at 6 o'clock to the bus, and away she goes in the meantime, I had transportation during the day. I took myself out to lunch. I went and got my hair done. I bought some luggage so I could, repack my stuff. I had like a liberty. I had a day off, and it was really fun.
Boy. Yeah.
So then I get on this bus. Okay. Well, the first stop was a 3-hour layover. I didn't even know where I was. There was a television, and it was the presidential debates. It was John McCain, who I did not know, and Barack Obama, who I did not know. I didn't even know who he was.
Wow.
And I said, oh my God, a black man's running for president? This is what I said. And I was shocked. I mean, the whole thing was just like, where did I just drop in from, Yeah. And anyway, it was taking the bus. And then I have to tell you, there was like a whole Greyhound bus culture. These people that really ride the bus all the time. And, they could tell that I was a fish out of water, that I, I didn't know what was happening. They had my back. I could tell they were kind of protecting me, and then people, kind of tried to talk, and I just couldn't talk. It was like, it was too hard to have a funny conversation or just light conversation with anybody. I was so stuck in,
Yeah.
But I got all the way to Sacramento, and Sacramento to where I was going to Oroville was very close. And they said, the next bus doesn't leave till 7 o'clock in the morning. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. I said, no way. I mean, I'm going to figure out a way. I'm not going to sit here all night waiting to go to an hour and a half away. So I got a taxi to the airport. I got to the airport, and I knew that's where all the rental cars were in Sacramento. And I got the last car from Enterprise, got the church discount again, got the last car. And I'm driving, and I'm so tired because you don't really sleep well on a bus, right?
No, you
And
don't.
it'd been almost 3 days by then on a bus. So I get this car, and I'm driving, and it's dark, and I can't totally remember. I just know it's north. I went up Highway 5, and I should have gone on. Anyway, the thing is, I have a brand new car, and there's a blowout. The tire goes, and I'm
Wow.
off on the side of the road on Highway 5, pitch black. It's not like any cities around there.
Oh boy.
And fortunately, I did have a cell phone. I was able to call their line to help because I didn't have AAA or anything. But they had told me you could call this number if you get in trouble. So I called, and they said, "Where are you?" I said, "I have no idea. I'm on Highway 5. I don't know, but I just was at this restaurant, Bill and Kathy's. I'm a few miles north of that." And well, they didn't think they could help me, so I don't know. I finally fell asleep. I just was so tired, and it's the middle. I didn't know if I was in danger or not. Well, then I don't know. An hour later, knock, knock, knock on the window. It's the highway patrol. Thank goodness it was a highway patrol.
Wow.
And had a partner with him, a woman, and they changed my tire for me, and told me where I was and how to get where I was going.
Wow.
So that was another harrowing experience trying to get home. I finally made it home, and my mom was so wonderful, and she just said, you can sleep, just take as much time as you need. I would sleep. I'd wake up and turn on the television. Sleep, wake up, turn on the television. I mean, I hadn't had television in so long. And Ron, I have to tell you, I felt like I came out of a time warp. Well, I did come out of a time warp.
Yeah, you did.
Because, I mean, of course, I'd had a little TV from here and there, but no, major TV. So
Nope.
the ads and the stuff that they were promoting on television, I was shocked. The stuff that was,
Yeah.
I'm getting used to it now, but all the drugs, all the condoms and sanitary napkins and diabetes. I mean, my grandmother had diabetes, and nobody ever talked about it. That was something you did not discuss.
Yeah.
And everybody had diabetes now, and I go, what's happening to this world? It was it's like I shut the door in 1982, came out in 2008, and I didn't know where I was. And I really, you need indoctrination, how to survive out there, because you're saying things. I would say things to some people. Well, what's that? And they'd look at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Like Jello shots. I didn't know what a Jello shot was. I go, what's a Jello shot? They looked at me like, did you just drop in from Mars? I go, well, kinda.
Yeah.
And things like that. Words that people would say that I'd never heard. It was pretty funny.
Whoa, what a story. What a story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Thank goodness to my mom. She really was there for me. And I lived, she had a little guest house, and I lived there for the next year while I sort of got my act together.
That's great. And now you're married to a wonderful guy that you knew from high school, and you have and you have a great life. The both of you are enjoying your life.
Yes, that was a beautiful story. Yes,
you have a happy ending here.
Yep.
Carol, I'm not going to add another word to that. How do you like that?
Okay.
We'll end on a win.
That's right.
To all of you out there, thank you for tuning in. I'm Ron Miscavige. This is
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's been my pleasure, I assure you. And thank you, Carol. So from us two to all of you, see you on the next episode. Bye-bye for now.
Okay. Bye-bye.